and how would you assess where the program is under Woodson at this point in relation to that?
I would say that's a fair statement because what we inherited and played under from Coach Knight. When you look at Indiana basketball, Coach Knight is always the standard. Just like at UCLA, John Wooden is the standard. North Carolina, Dean Smith is the standard. And at Duke, you have Coach K as the standard. Those are the only four schools, that you can really say that these four coaches have set the standard in the tradition of play that coaches still have to try to live up to. Bringing back Coach Woodson reset the standard for us. I thought for a long time we went away from Indiana basketball, IU basketball, and everybody has their own style of play and their own DNA, so to speak. And if you don't really understand the state of Indiana and you don't understand Indiana basketball, it's hard for you to come in as an outsider and live up to that standard. And I think some of the, when we look at North Carolina, we look at, Duke, we look at UCLA, and UCLA has kind of, from the Wooden era of excellence, they've kind of gone away, come back, gone away, come back. But when you look at Duke and Carolina, they pretty much stayed the course in terms of who they are and what they were trying to do. And I would also add Kentucky in there also.
Do you, and I'm assuming, Isaiah Thomas, our guest on the Express Pro Tire and Auto guest line, obviously you played with Mike Woodson. You guys were teammates in your first year and his last year in Bloomington, and then he departs for the NBA, and you guys really took off there. And you had a good year in '80 as well. But how often do you talk to Mike Woodson, and how often do you watch and follow what Indiana has done this year?
I talk to Woodson at least once, twice a week, still today, and I follow Indiana religiously, every game.
One of the things, Isaiah, that and I wanted you to maybe offer a perspective here. And it's hard for me, admittedly, Isaiah, when you do what our side of it, the media side of it, right? You've done that a little bit. I mean, you've held a microphone as well. So when I look at Mike Woodson, and then I think about what it would be like to be from Indianapolis, to have played for an Indianapolis public school, to represent that, and then to go to Bloomington, and at times when he says things like, I wish I had the answer, like I sense a frustration there because I think in his heart he so badly wants this to go the right way and to work. But obviously there still is a consistency to be found. How challenging is it for him, do you think, because of the pride factor of which you speak? And what things do you think he's still trying to push to get this team to play at the level he wants?
Well, let me answer. It's a two-part question. I'm gonna give you a two-part answer. The first thing that we love about Woodson being there, and also from the state of Indiana, and also the media critique. This is why we wanted someone from Indiana, because when he loses, it affects him personally. It affects his friends. It affects his family. It affects the fans. It affects everyone. He's from the state of Indiana. I think he went to Broad Ripple Public School. So, he can't hide. You know what I mean? It's like you can't run away to the next state and say, oh, I coached at Indiana, but I grew up in Maryland. It's like, no, your friends, the media, and everyone else is here. And so there's a lot of eyeballs on you. So there's a lot of pressure to succeed. We want that coach to have the pressure to succeed. And we want that from his family. We want that from his friends. And we also want that from the media. Now, I would say this to you, right? The media, we all play our role, and I'm gonna insert Dan Dockage here because Dan is a good friend of mine, and he also played at IU, and he's been critical of Woody at some point in time, and he's patted him on the back a couple of times too. But at the same time, we want those kids who are playing at Indiana to also understand and feel the pressure of winning. It takes a lot to win. And the critics, I'll say this again, the critics are not always wrong. But there are good lessons and great lessons to be learned out of great and good critique. Now, the media sometimes go overboard into personalities and not necessarily into critique. And that's where we have to, draw the line. But I would just say this, that, I know it was a long-winded answer, but at the same time, that pressure to win is what we want the coach to have and what we want the players to have. Now, the honesty that coach brings to the table, like I sat in a huddle many times with Coach Knight, and there were some times he didn't have the answers either, right? And we as players, we have to try to figure it out on the court. There are some times during the course of the game, during the course of the season, where you as a coaching staff, you as players, you don't have all the answers. So when Coach Woodson gives you an honest answer, and he can honestly say without, without BS in the public or BS in the fans, like he knows it all, he can honestly say, I don't know the answer right now, but I'm going to work my ass off to figure it out. Hey, man, that's all you can ask for from a good coach, in my opinion.